premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. As always, dastardly goes. Our co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tong. What up? Producing, Kelly, and Andre the Giant.
Heyo.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Giant?
Thank Josh later for me.
All right.
That was a very, very fun type of show. Really hectic, to be honest.
Yeah. Shout out to the guys at the fights. I did catch some of it, and they did have a solid show. So congrats to those guys. I've always said, man, those guys kick ass in the sport of boxing. They take no names. Anybody that's a hardcore boxing fan, or they're just kind of reconnecting with the sport, or just getting into the sport. That's the show for you. So. And by the way, I think those guys are headed this way to the studio towards the end of our show. How about that? Andre, did you hear that?
What was that? Sorry, I was talking to Kelly.
Oh, okay. Nothing. No.
All right.
It's just this annoying echo on my end.
Oh, yeah, we're trying to fix that. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, that's on your guys' end?
No, we don't hear the echo at all. I'm just trying to make sure that you guys don't hear it.
Yeah, we were talking about fixing your echo. Do you still hear it?
No, went away. All right, yeah.
Wait, goes.
Check. Yeah.
All right, it's
party time. Woo! We were free.
Right,
you guys don't know how difficult that intro was. I had to just close my eyes and say,
you just have to talk and just don't listen.
No, but I know that goes.
I thought someone slipped me some acid before the show.
All I did was make a face. Goes said just talk, and I was closing my eyes, just trying to say what I'm supposed to say. But that echo hitting me back was not making it easy in the slightest bit. Anyway, all right, here we go. It's a Friday. It's July 19th. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We have two fine guests for you today, Freddy Assuncao and Raphael Assuncao. John Morgan was joking. You should have just got Junior Assuncao and completed the trilogy there, the three fighting brothers. Junior Assuncao, 38 years of age, still fights. And I kid you not, I did go look and see what he's up to, you know. Mm-hmm. I guess he fought in 2018, but I didn't see anything on the books. He fought in the UFC at one time. But as far as his brother, Raphael, one of the top bantamweights in the world, fights in the UFC. He's got a big fight coming up against Cory Sandhagen on August 17th. On that deep UFC 241 card, headlined by Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. The return of Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis. Shall I go on? Okay. Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa. I'm telling you, that card is something else. Off the top of my head, or look it up?
Off the top of your head.
Oh boy, I don't think I can do it.
All right.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
That's pretty good though. That's
one
hell of a.
That's why I was amazed that you went that far.
That's one hell of a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch there. It's in Anaheim too, goes. We got to figure out if we're going or if we're staying with the sportscaster. Speaking of, we'll be here tomorrow. Doing a watch along for UFC on ESPN 4 on Sportscaster. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back, or not when we come back, but later on in the show. And then also Freddy Assuncao. So the two Assuncao brothers, I already covered one of them. The other one that fights for the PFL. He fights next Thursday, PFL 2019, Week 5. We're still about 30 minutes away from the brothers joining us back to back. So in the meantime, take your calls as we discuss the latest news. The way you can get to us is 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. And, of course, you can hit us up on on Twitter, at MMA on Sirius XM. It works for us and all of the hosts and producers on all of the channels.
I may have to check out the date of that UFC show. I might try to go down to Anaheim. I'm looking for an excuse to.
That is the stack card, Dan Tom.
Go over there.
You're going to pull the trigger. That's one I recommend it on. In fact, let me just jump into this card real fast and see if there's. If you're on the fence, I guarantee you I'll find one more fight that'll probably say, okay, I'm getting myself a
While
ticket.
you do
or
that, I
credential.
want to give Dan some advice.
Okay.
Go to the card. Stay away from the mean streets of Santa Ana. They will change you. It's a dangerous area. Those who have lived there and survived it, it's not many of us.
I want to see the legendary spots, though, where the cars go flying and
Food. They actually did.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about
the
that.
Rodney Dangerfield guy. What was his name? Nick?
Nick. Oh, Scaredy Man.
Scaredy Man.
Scaredy Man.
That's a funny story he told us. A listener of ours. What was his name, though? What did we call him on the show?
He was...
Nick from New York? No.
No.
He had a name.
Was, oh, my God. What the hell was his name? Nicky Knuckles.
Nicky Knuckles. That's right. So, Dan.
Yo.
Manny Bermudez versus Casey Kenny.
I like it.
Kyung Ho Kang versus Brandon Davis. John McDessie versus Devontae Smith. Sabina Mato versus Shayna Dobson. Derek Brunson versus Ian Heinz. Poliana Botello versus Marina Moros. Sodiq Youssef versus Gabriel Benitez. And then the big four that I called them on those other ones.
I like it.
Solid, right?
Yeah.
It's only a 4-hour
Big
drive.
Four is
But
pretty
what's the
good
date,
shit.
though? That's my selling point. What's
April
the date on that one?
7th. Oh, sorry. August 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 days after my birthday.
There you go. All right. So let's start off with a little bit of news. Look, it's not going to get old talking about Jorge Masvidal because what he did a few weeks ago here in Las Vegas, that flying knee heard around the world. It's just, I mean, it has elevated this kid's career, his career, his superstardom to just another type of a level. Earlier in the week we were talking about how him and his management team decided it's either Usman for the undisputed title or Conor McGregor. So we've been talking about that. We've been talking about Twitter beefs. Anything around or revolving around this guy is just what people want to hear about. So let's continue here. His manager, Abe Kaba, who was on the show last week, says, bless Dana White for protecting Conor McGregor from Jorge Masvidal. He also dissected, I think, Dana's comments about Jorge being too big for Conor McGregor. We've had a daily debate over it. We've discussed it, taken calls, and we're with you, Abe. It just that's not the reason. If you just feel like you don't want a match of Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, I think almost your best bet would be to say, we want to match him up with another lightweight. But don't use the excuse that he's bigger, because they're not that much different size-wise, height-wise, reach-wise, any of that stuff. Conor has fought at welterweight, but I don't want to say that he's a welterweight, because those fights that he did at welterweight were really unnecessary. But the guy he fought is fighting at welterweight, has fought at welterweight. And he's a big guy. He's probably even taller than Jorge Masvidal. So, he fought that frame. I don't see what would be the problem with fighting Jorge Masvidal. Mm-hmm. Hell, Dana White, one thing he's always had is the luxury of when something doesn't go right, the result he wasn't expecting turns into a positive. If Jorge Masvidal were to do something to Conor McGregor, I'm not saying Jorge Masvidal would become Conor McGregor, but he would become an even bigger version of Jorge Masvidal, which, again, is good for the UFC. If Conor McGregor were to beat Jorge Masvidal, well, then guess what? He just beat the guy that beat the undefeated guy. I mean, there's really not a losing proposition here. The only thing I can think of is the fact that Khabib and Conor sold 2.5 million pay-per-views, and they want a taste of that somehow, some way, if they can find a way to, to make it happen. Now, Dana White's also said he's not getting the winner of Khabib versus Poirier, which happens on September 7th. So we really just don't know what's happening. Maybe the Diaz fight versus Pettis, maybe that'll result in something. Maybe the return of GSP, if he comes back, maybe that'll turn into something. Maybe Tony Ferguson. We don't know. We don't know. Frankly, guys, I'm almost thinking, is Conor McGregor just not that close, as close to fighting as we think he is?
I don't think so.
If you observe him on social media, he's always in shape. You can never say, oh, my God, he let himself go. He's always in shape. But mentally, and does he have the hunger and desire to get into a camp and do this and maybe risk, his stature with yet like another loss? I mean, now the career would really, really take a hit. His fighting career, I still think his pop culture career is just a whole other animal. His whiskey would be fine or whatever. But what do you guys think, man? You think maybe he's just kind of covering up for a guy that he hasn't been able to come to a deal with a guy that maybe he sees is just not even ready to take a fight?
This was a question, I think I asked you this the other day, was doesn't it seem, based on the comments and the way Dana gives us a runaround where he leaves the door open, then he closes it, then he leaves the door open, that to me, I don't know that he's having these type of conversations where, like, if there's one thing about Conor McGregor, it's he always knows what he wants. And these type of conversations that Dana has and then brings them the light to us, to me, they sound more like somebody that's not talking to him and is just trying to, like, if you're out on a date and your girlfriend came home and goes, "Where's George?" and I go, he was at the bank, and then but the bank closes. Yeah, but that's what it kind of sounds like to me.
Yeah, like he's covering up for him, basically.
He's covering up is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
And they'll always throw one of those in there. Hey, one thing I'll say about Conor McGregor, he's never turned down a fight. Like, there's always something to give him that little bit of a boost if he has to kind of like shake Conor McGregor up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was the Cowboy fight guys or what. I mean, you know, pick a name in the hat on which was the last debacle. Even this year that, you know, someone was in talks to fight McGregor. I kind of just tune that stuff out because it's all noise.
It's getting old, right?
But I think the last close one that even warranted a response, even from a contrarian like me, my answer is still the same from that, is that this quote-unquote legal trouble that many of us heard before, most of us heard,
Ireland,
is not done. And I honestly gauge that by kind of what you guys are saying. I gauge that by Dana's responses, him trying to space it away. Now, as far as the management and the accusations, we'll talk about that as far as, you know, he's protecting his boy and whatnot. You know, there is precedent for that because the other guy that kind of beat him, that showed the ability to beat him and whatnot, and, you know, they had there was some, you know, I'm sure there was a lot of negotiating before the second one happened, was Nate Diaz. And what did Dana say about Nate Diaz? Oh, he's too big. Nate Diaz, again, another guy used to fight at 155 like Masvidal. Now, do I think it's in the best interest for Nate or George to go back down to 155? No. But saying that guys are too big, when at one point, let's be honest, if Conor would have beat Khabib and wanted to maybe rehash that, you know, UFC 205 backstage run-in with Woodley, and Woodley still had his belt, let's just say in this hypothetical, because Woodley still did have the belt, if he would have beat Khabib back at UFC 229, you're telling me Dana would have been like, this guy's too big for you. You can't beat the triple champ, kid. Tyrant's too big. Which just I think is true, but I don't think Dana would have been saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then how about the fact that before Diaz, it was supposed to be RDA? Where's RDA right now? He's a welterweight. What about Triple C versus Dillashaw? Why didn't that apply? Or even versus Marlon? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's too big. Hey, man, there's just certain superstar fighters that can transcend 10 pounds and make something like that happen. So what are you talking about? Too big in height or too big in frame? Because
it doesn't matter frame because they all weigh the same.
Right. Look at Till versus Masvidal. That's the difference between a guy that's too big for lightweight, not a big welterweight, versus a guy too big. You know, that was the difference right there. But still, Masvidal took the fight. I would argue that Pettis versus Wonderboy, same thing. Pettis dabbled with 145 at one point. Now, if you grab somebody that was too big for featherweight, like Conor McGregor, versus a guy that's too big for welterweight, like Darren Till, then I could say, well, now you're on to something, because even though Conor did fight at lightweight and Till did fight at welterweight, they both, one's headed in another direction and one came from another direction. I could see that a little bit more. But Jorge, a guy that's got so many 55-pound... I lost my voice. 55-pound fights under his belt? Nah, man.
Great points there. And then, you know, not to pile on a Dana, but kind of the opposite side of that, I guess more and more relevant than Tyron Woodley. George St. Pierre, that was a match that they were trying to put together if Conor, you know, would have gotten past. That was one of the few matches that even George stated would bring him out of retirement. You're telling me if that matchup gets made, you don't hear Dana going, hey, listen, the kid wants to fight. When he gets something in his head, there's no talking him out of this. Mm-hmm. You know, you could already hear him saying that, like making the excuses of why. You know, sometimes we just gotta listen to the fighter. Like he totally has that in his back pocket too. He's ready to play that same card.
Do you want to know what the worst part
about all this is? He's talking to a casual audience. That was a TMZ, I believe, interview that he did all that with.
The worst part to me is how many fighters do we have saying, I just can't make 155, but if I go up to 170, they're just too big. Please make 165. Where is this argument now?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, where you care about people being too big, it doesn't apply to everyone else that's begging for a 165 class. Let's break this down. Conor McGregor's 5'9". Masvidal's 5'11". Cowboy, who they have already admitted to trying to set that fight up, he's 6'1". Nate Diaz, he's 6 foot. They're bigger. Why doesn't it matter?
Fought Nate Diaz twice.
Mad.
But again, it's simple, guys. He's talking to TMZ Sports, and he knows when he's talking to Colin Coward or Dan Libertard or TMZ Sports or whoever else, he's talking to an audience that doesn't know all this. All right? And so they will just soak it up, and they'll just say, hey, man, I caught Dana today, and this is what he said, and that's it. But the hardcore audience, we know, and that's why we have to check them. That's our job. But he knows that we know, and he's not worried about it because he's trying to just spread the word as much as possible to as many people as possible, because that's the difference maker. Why? Because he's already got our dollar. We're already going to pay for the pay-per-view or and get it no matter what. We're all junkies is what it boils down to.
Dude, the hardcore audience has their own decoder. Like, remember that U571 movie where they got to decode the messages? Like, that's how the hardcore audience we feel when Dana says something where it's like, kid didn't want to fight. We're like, oh, bad negotiations right now.
I still remember the Morse code. I am U571. Destroy me.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go to break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. When we come back, somebody else has been sounding off. It's Aljamain Sterling, UFC featherweight. We'll tell you what he said and who he was ranting about when we come back.
If you cross them, they will destroy you. Just ask Three Finger Eddie and Pete the Penguin. Who are they, you ask? My point exactly. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Here's Sirius XM Now when you are out of the car. Now included with most Sirius XM subscriptions, you can hear more of what you love, get more control of how you listen, and have more ways to listen anytime or anywhere you want it. Play personalized stations powered by Pandora based on the artists that you love. Just create a username and password, and you're ready to start streaming. Learn more at SiriusXM.com/more. All right, guys. So, Aljamain Sterling, who was in studio recently, he is, I think, is handling it as best as he can, knowing that more than likely he won't get the first crack at Henry Cejudo, also known as Triple C. Henry Cejudo is the champion in the flyweight division and the bantamweight division. The bantamweight divisions where Sterling resides. However, I think Sterling has been able to figure out through stuff Cejudo's been saying and Dana White's been saying that more than likely when Cejudo returns from this shoulder surgery in 2019, 20, it'll be Joseph Benavidez who gets the first shot. So now what? He probably knows he has to take a fight, but in the meantime, I think what he's doing is kind of giving some shoves by the lockers. You know what I mean? Just kind of getting a feel for where the testy waters is, where's that fight that might be popping. Because Peter Yan's also coming off an elbow surgery. It's not the type of surgery that's going to hold him till 2020, but I think he's just trying to figure out where lies the biggest fight for him. So he took aim at 3 cats. One of them was Uriah Faber, who just got a win this past Saturday. And this is what Aljamain Sterling said. He said maybe him and Dominic Cruz can have an old man's match, the retired fighters. Maybe they can challenge each other for the retired MMA Fighters League, the has-beens.
It's pretty good.
You know what I like about that, guys, is it's enough to sting, but we're not crossing into like religion, family, politics. You know, it's not anything where he has to sweat getting that phone call, or we have to make a whole, devote a whole segment to did he cross the line or what. It was just some nice little shoves here and there, enough for people to go, take you back to your grade school days. Ooh, you know what I mean? Oh no, he didn't. But anyway, that was what he said towards Faber. I mean, he had a lot of comments to say. I'm not going to read you the whole interview, but then regarding Peter Yan, he said he's one of those guys who says, I don't do my talking outside the cage. I get in there and let my performance speak for itself. That type of thing. He's one of those kinds of guys. And then he gets on Twitter and he's talking about how he could beat Henry Cejudo and me in one night with one hand or whatever, something dumb. He continues. And then he tried to come up to me and ask me why I'm afraid to fight him in Moscow. And I told him, I simply politely tell him, hey there, Peter, I'm ranked higher than you. You don't call the shots, I call the shots. You report to me for work or Dana White. So, again, keeping it lively, just basically sunning him a little bit, telling him, again, I'll decide where we fight, if we fight, when we fight.
But the point of the whole thing is we are talking about him.
We're talking
and
about
that's
it.
What he wants, right?
Right, and I think, we see if the other side reciprocates. I would say that the Yan Sterling fight makes the most sense, by the way. But what Faber did on Saturday, I mean, he probably leaped ahead of a few bantamweights. I'm not saying all of them, but maybe a few of those guys. I mean, dude, some people have said on Twitter that they wouldn't be shocked if Cejudo wound up fighting Faber at the rate that Faber and Cejudo have been jabbing at each other. I think that's a bit much, but still, the fact that people are talking about it, I mean, I guess you have to kind of take it serious.
I like the Faber matchup, to be honest. With Aljamain? No, with Aljamain. I like it because I'm looking at it from the UFC's perspective, all right? If Faber wins, then maybe now you can sell that matchup that you want, right? If he doesn't, well, you kind of gave Aljamain a good name without getting that scenario where you have Peter Yan and only one of them comes out. Now you can kind of use both of them, right? So I actually sort of like the matchup if you were to match up Aljamain and Uriah.
Who do you like, Dan?
You just won me over. I was gonna for Sterling. I was just gonna stick with the Yan. Like you said, you have the final 4 contenders, and you do a Jimmy
That's
Rivera,
the way it should be.
Jimmy Rivera and Uriah Faber. It's a guy Uriah beat Uriah Faber, but still a name. And I don't know. It's where they're at in their career. Can make a lot of sense. And Faber, any chance he gets, seems to put some disrespect on Rivera's name. So I would like to see that. But I think Goes won me over with his argument, to be honest, because I like that better for Aljo. He still gets a chance to win his way to the title, but he gets more stock and less danger. Not that Aljo is that mind. He's not afraid of anybody, but I'm just, my 2 cents. Goes won me over there.
Now, Sterling set his sights on one other fella. His name is Henry Cejudo, Triple C, although some people do say he's the king of cringe.
I can't sign under that Triple C name, speaking of cringe. Sorry, go on.
He says, it's god-awful. He's talking about his shtick. He says, it's god-awful. But I don't know if it's working or if it's helping people wanting to see him just get his ass kicked. So maybe that will help him sell tickets that way, and people order that pay-per-view just to see him get the shit kicked out, or the expletive kicked out of him. I imagine that's what it was. Maybe that's what he's doing. It's a little odd, and I think he's an odd guy, and I think he's just embracing his oddness in the public eye. But his resume speaks for himself. Like I said, he's a tough dude, and I know everyone says he hasn't fought me yet, but he really hasn't. He hasn't fought anybody like me yet. This is a different type of style. Now, he did also say, I would love that fight against Henry Cejudo.
I like that. It's stupid as hell, but it's funny.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, this king of cringe, something's working because they spotted him on the beaches of Mexico with a Brazilian actress or model or something like that.
Yeah.
He was all hugged up.
It's the king of something else. Sorry.
So, yeah, I mean, salute, right, to Henry Cejudo.
Mm-hmm. I like that he accepts the cringy thing. If he thought, like, no, why are people saying that? It bugs me, then I would have a problem with it. But the fact that he kind of knows, I'm listening to my voice too. What the hell's going on? It makes it kind of funny.
I need more. I need more. I need more videos of him doing, throwing his hands up in the air, going yes from the. What do you call cam from the drone cam? That random Brazil. Like, what did I just watch? Like, what did that just like that's up there with that Vanderlei Silva trash talk video where it just like feels like an old NWO video. Like you can almost hear like the same like backtrack in the background. I'm like, what? I don't even know what Vanderlei just said last minute.
Vanderlei even knows that that a lot of people don't know what he says. Vanderlei speaks good English. If you slow him down and you have him kind of like in studio, over the phone's a little rough, but at the World MMA Awards, he accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
And he spoke in Portuguese and had his son translate. And I thought, wow, Vanderlei, just talking English. Like, this is your moment. Nobody would criticize you anyway. I mean, I guess he hasn't lived in the United States for about 3 years now. So maybe he just felt like his English is rusty. I don't know. But his son, Thor, had grown up. I remember Thor when he was little younger, a little chubbier. But now he's, like, grown up and it looks like a teenager. He trains, and I think there's going to be another Fighting Silva.
Okay, because I picture when you said Vanderlei's kid, I don't know if I picture Vanderlei's kid or what I imagine Vanderlei looked like as a kid, but to me, like when I see the the little kid from Road Warrior that lives in the hole, he runs in the holes and stuff.
Yeah,
like he looks like Vanderlei. That's the guy who he. Chopped the fingers off. He threw but he's like a little kid. And if you look at pictures of Vanderlei when he was a kid, like he looks just like that kid from.
You've seen pictures of Vanderlei when he was a kid?
Warrior. Yeah, they posted some and he's just like, and it's funny because he's got like this very like bright, like almost like he's been in the sun a lot, like Blanca. He's got the long kind of mullet look, and but he has a scowl to where it's
I've never seen
nothing
this.
like him.
The
kid looks. I mean, not the kid doesn't look like him, but he. Well, first of all, he's got hair, right? So I guess that kind of throws you off. But oh man,
the hair too, because it's a healthy mane. Like it's been in the sun. It's got some natural curves and some volume there.
Let me pull up a picture.
It's really weird that I'm describing it that in depth, but
All right, guys. Anyway, so that's a little bit of an update there with the call-outs and the big news and mixed martial arts. And I'll hit the refresh button on MMA Junkie. Maybe something else is broken in the last couple hours. We are going to have a couple interviews coming up, and we are going to have a commercial coming up. But right now, I think it's a good time for the Daily Debate.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media,
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
the same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's Daily Debate question for MMA Junkie Radio: Patricio Freddy or the field? Who you got in the Bellator MMA Featherweight Grand Prix? What that means is that's actually a common term in gambling where you pick one side or the field. The field just basically means everyone else. Now, this is a 16-man tournament that Bellator is having for the featherweights. So, in essence, this question is the champ, Patricio Freddy, or any of the other 15. So, you would think, wow, okay, is there an argument here? I mean, is that a disrespect to the other 15? But that's what we're going to tackle. We'll start off with Dan Tom to my left. What do you think, Dan? And if you are going to pick the field, tell me who you think might be the guy that can take him down.
So for sports analogies, you're saying it'd be like either the Patriots or the field?
Correct.
So I had to
Good
throw
job.
that in there. The New England guys had to give a fist bump there,
Good
right?
job. That's exactly what it is.
But no, honestly, you know what? I'm actually going to argue for the field here. I haven't looked at the results here, George. I know you're going to give it to us here in a couple minutes, but I got to imagine the double champ who doesn't get enough credit, Pitbull. That I think in this big of a tournament, it was a point that Goes made a few shows back that when you have this big of a field, granted they have to technically whittle the 16 down to 8, and then technically it's on from there. Regardless, that's a lot where a lot of things can happen. Mm-hmm. I'm going to argue the field here, although I will say my argument is a bit weak because the two guys I'm going to point to for dark horses, they paired the two son of a guns together, man. That's Tywin Claxton, and of course, who gave Patricio Pitbull a good fight already, Emmanuel El Matador Sanchez. I love both these dudes. If you draw these guys' names in this bracket or tournament, it's going to be you're going to be sweating. I think one of those. That said, I think one of those guys makes it to the final, and I think I'm more confident in one of those two guys making it to the final than I am Pitbull because of everything that can happen. So I'll say the field.
All right, how about you guys?
I'm going with the field as well.
Okay.
Sap, I like who he's going with. I'm going to go AJ McKee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go him because he has one thing that I think you need in a tournament. He doesn't give a crap. He doesn't get overwhelmed by what's in front of him. I think he, in his head, already sees himself as a champ. It's just not, it just hasn't played out. And I think you need that type of attitude to be successful in a tournament. There's so many emotions, so many nerves. He just doesn't care. And he's talented. And like Dan said, a lot of things happen along the way in tournaments, and he's got that style that I think can kind of keep him safe. So
you guys are going against the champ in the featherweight division and lightweight division. Do one of these
if it was straight up, I wouldn't have that answer, but it's a tournament.
Listen, I'm sticking with my dark horses, but quick light bulb point that doesn't take away from the subject here. What he's talking about, why is it that the young guys or young guys in miles like Daniel Cormier or young guys in general like a Michael Chandler do well in these tournaments? I feel like for them, tournaments are more of opportunities, which is why we see those spots tend to rise to the top, whereas for veteran guys, it's almost more like maybe it's more of a chore. Maybe, I have all this to lose. Oh, everyone's going to be gunning for my name. I used to get title shots handed me back in the day. Now I got to go through this. I don't know if there's some correlation there, guys, but picking the young guy, it's not a bad lean.
Well, I'll tell you what.
We swayed you.
I was thinking, I'm going with the Pitbull. Because after he beat Chandler, I'm like, wow, how can I go against this guy? This guy's been a savage for the last few years. And he's proven that his power can, go up a division. I mean, that's arguably maybe Bellator's best lightweight ever. Mm-hmm. And even though there is 15 on the other side, some guys are going to – it's not like he has to go through all 15. He just has to go through 4 of them. And along the way, a few of those guys are going to eliminate each other along the way. He's actually beaten a couple of the guys that are already in that tournament. I just feel like he's fighting at an all-time high right now. True. And I think there's – that if this was just a Grand Prix and they said, here's a belt, then – man, I think there might be a slight trip up somewhere. But the fact that there's that extra million, Bellator's really, really made it exciting. I just think he's going to find that extra motivation, to just keep doing his thing and add to his legacy. Now, as I say that, I also realize how close did Roy McDonald come to losing versus John Fitch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, and he's going to be tested very, very sternly by Douglas Lima. So it is not easy to get through one of these Grand Prix. That's for damn sure. So I realize that I say this, but I'm not saying it with the utmost certainty.
There's only one thing that can get me to sway my pick. If Eric Albarracin were to walk in right now, out of respect, I think I would have to just switch it.
Yeah. Well, this is how it broke down. Believe it or not, 65% of the people that voted, and the voting's still happening, so I'll leave the amount of votes to the side, but at least after the sample size that we have so far, 65% are already leaning towards Pitbull. 35% are leaning towards the field.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. There's today's Daily Debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a couple of Assuncao brothers calling in. The first one will be UFC bantamweight Raphael. He'll be calling in. We'll be talking about the fight he's got coming up versus Cory Sandhagen at UFC 241. Yeah. 241, I apologize, on August 17th in Anaheim, California. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Good, you're still here. The boys were just getting warmed up. Now the real show begins. Take it away, boys.
Alrighty, we are back.
Take it away, toys.
Toys, you called us?
Hey, Chief.
No, I'm just there's a what are these called? A GIF. It's 300K millennials storming Area 51 and then the guards, and it's Indiana Jones just shooting them. That's so true, though, isn't it?
So what's gonna happen with that? Did it happen or did it never
I don't
happen?
know.
Or I heard that if you even get close, you're in a lot of danger.
Yeah,
So,
they ain't gonna win that battle.
yeah, that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard for
Plus,
someone
once
to
you
do
get
that.
there, what are you gonna do? Like, you think that they just have regular doors? You just open and walk in and go, "Oh, the aliens over here." I mean,
Right.
we've been on these bases. There's all kinds of stuff you got to go.
Well, I would imagine that everything's just like in basements or something. Who knows?
That reminds me, I had a friend who's super, I don't know, a millennial, but, you know, he yells at that friend, especially in the 90s when you're growing up, who's kind of the wimpier friend of the group and you kind of pick on. And whenever we play football or, like, we play tackle football or even touch, like, before we'd even touch or tackle, he would, like, immediately collapse and, like, kind of go down. I don't know if you ever had that friend when you played football as a kid, like, oh, come on. You're being scared. We would joke, but that's your first line of defense is fall down if there's any danger. And I'm like, I wonder if he's watching the UFC now and, like, watching when anybody tries to punch Ryan Hall, and Ryan Hall just goes down. He's like, "Come to my guard," and I'm like, he's like, now he's taking that first line of defense that we'd make fun of kids in school with, and he's applying that to a high level cage fight.
You know, I don't even know if we spent time talking on Ryan Hall. Like,
and I like Ryan Hall. I'm not taking a shot there, by the way.
He's mad that people didn't like his striking.
Well, I mean,
I like his striking.
His kicks were really, really fun. I mean, he actually caught Elkins in a couple different ways. But yeah, there was a little bit of some flops going on. There was the rolls that were unsuccessful. It was, as I watched that fight, I can honestly look back on those 15 minutes and say I was entertained.
Yeah.
Even though it was, even though there was moments where you were like, you know, there was some big whiffs. Obviously, there was some big rolls that weren't even close. There was some kicks that missed. Elkins obviously was trying to figure out what the hell he was going to do. But I still thought it was pretty strategic. And I thought, well, man, we got 12, 13 fights to entertain us. This one's just going to be different. But we came in here, and I think we were so caught up on Faber and other stuff that I don't know that we spent too much time on it. But kudos to Ryan Hall, by the way. Shout out to that guy, man.
Tough cat.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, Raphael Assuncao has not called in yet, but I think we'll be hearing from him very, very soon. He is now going to be fighting his 20th fight in his UFC and WEC career. All this started in 2009, so he's at that 10-year mark, 20-fight mark, and I think this maximizes the most he can make through Reebok, by the way. Little fun fact there. I mean, without becoming a title challenger or a champion, then you get to a different level. But I was telling the guys, fun facts here. Here are 2 wins that you would not expect that Raphael has, not because I don't think he's talented enough to beat him, but because they reside in different divisions. One's a lightweight right now, and the other one's a welterweight. And Rafa is a bantamweight, but he once beat Joe Lazon and Jorge Masvidal. This was back in 2005, 2006. All right, joining us now on the hotline, it's Raphael Assuncao. How you doing, Rafa? Good to have you back on MMA Junkie Radio.
Hey guys, good to be back. Good to be back, man. Thank you.
I was just telling the guys about Lazon and Masvidal, and the reason we're kind of joking about it is because Dana White recently said, "No, Masvidal's too big for Conor McGregor." You know, they're only like they're not that far apart in terms of size, and yet here you are fighting as a bantamweight. You fought Masvidal once, now he's a welterweight.
Right.
But anyway, this is
we fought at 155 pounds.
Yeah.
And I remember when we had no weight class at the time. I don't remember what year it was, but there was no weight class. So they were like, "Hey, I think I was 5-0. Masvidal was 5-0, and the promoter there in Georgia wanted to kind of, catapult my career.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, "Hey man, we got this guy, Masvidal. He's 5-0. You know." I said, "All right, man, let's do it." I mean, I was a younger guy, right? And then we fought at 55. He didn't make the 55 limit. I waited under 55, so it was I said, "Oh, let's do it," or whatever. And then that's how the fight happened. And then we went to a decision. He was boxing me. I was able to take him down and just kind of lay and pray and hold him down the whole third round. It was a good fight.
Nice.
Yeah, but I saw him here at American Top Team this week, and we were joking around. I approached him, and everybody kind of clapped for him, and I approached him. And I said, "What's up, man?" Blah blah blah. And then he's like, "Oh, you like that, huh? You like that shit, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, man, that was pretty cool." And then we were like laughing and stuff. But yeah, I'll fight. I you know what? I'm so respectful of a guy that I don't consider that fight to where it's in my record, obviously, but I don't want to have props on that stuff, man. I mean, it was way, the guy outgrew, the guy's huge now, it looks like I got smaller, so he grew, I got smaller, so it's not a fight that I brag about, as far as, he fought Masvidal and stuff. It was cool, it's in my record, but I don't brag about that stuff, man.
Yeah, and you also submitted Joe Lazon, and also this is going to be your 20th fight between your WEC and UFC career. So you've definitely put your time in the sport. You've definitely put your time in with the UFC.
Thanks, buddy. Well, hopefully that sponsorship money changes a little bit with 20 fights, huh?
That's what I was saying. I was telling the guys, I think you're at the highest tier for the Reebok money, with the exception of challenging for the title or fighting for the title. Then they get a little bit more, but yeah, I think this is the highest tier for Reebok.
At 20, not at 15, because I know at 15 there's an amount, and then at 20. So hopefully I'll get a little bit more.
So you're in Coconut Creek for this camp?
I'm in Coconut Creek, man, and actually right now, guys, I'm at, today's my birthday, by the way.
I know, I saw that. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I'm here with the family. They flew in from Atlanta. So I'm here with the wifey and with my beautiful daughter. We're actually waiting to grab a bite. So excuse me if it's a little loud or if there's some music out here.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we just. But I wanted to make sure I'll give you guys a call. But I mean, you guys always pay respect, man. I pay it back,
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate that, and happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Happy birthday, all that
Thanks,
good stuff.
buddy.
We won't take up too much time here, but I guess what do you do your
problem.
camps often at Coconut Creek, or you just wanted to switch it up for this fight?
No, you know what? I have never been in here like continuously throughout the whole camp, and this is the first time that I'm here throughout the whole process, throughout the whole camp. To the 8-week camp. So I went home for a couple of days, came back, and then the family came over this time. But I'm full time here. I'm at the dorms. I'm like full on training camp mode right now. For the first time, actually, I think it's cool. With my age and stuff, and where I am in my career, it worked out perfect. Worked out pretty nice. I mean, we're doing 11 sessions a week, so we got 11 training sessions a week. So far, so good.
All right,
great, man.
Raphael Assuncao is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's going to be fighting on August 17th versus Cory Sandhagen at UFC 241, which is headlined by Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. Also notable fights: Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis, Paulo Costa versus Yoel Romero.
Sir.
This card is stacked. All right, goes. What do you have for Raphael Assuncao?
Raphael, that's kind of something I wanted to talk about. I saw that you were in Coconut Creek, and I was looking at your record, and you have a really good record, and it's over very, very tough fighters. Some fighters take losses different ways, but when I look at you and I look at the fight, I think, well, Raphael probably doesn't have to change too much. People lose; it just kind of happens. How do you feel about that, Raphael? Like, do you feel like one of those guys that has to change everything up, or is it just kind of like tweaking a little thing here and there?
No, man, I'm just adding different pieces to the puzzle, which is the MMA game. I'm just adding right now. I don't I'm actually doing the opposite. I want to go back to my old style. We had some mistakes on the last fight, and look, man, I have never given an excuse. Oh, I lost because of this, because of that. I mean, everything went wrong for the Marlon rematch. Just the whole thing was I don't know. I mean, it's hard to explain. How it all played out, coaching staff and my dad was with me in Brazil, and also my brother, which does my diet, Freddy, which actually fights this coming Thursday at PFL. So keep an eye on for him.
He's going to be our guest after you, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna talk about him anymore. Otherwise, my man's mad at me. But So I'm just adding different pieces to the puzzle and kind of going back to my style, man. Which won me fights. I don't the loss is kind of past. I was pretty bummed for a while. Oh man, I can't believe I lost this fight. It was a title shot fight. It was a contendership fight, right, for the title. And I got pissed off. I went out. I wasn't depressed or nothing because I'm not that type of guy. But I was like, you know what? I'm not doing the shit for 3 months. Just hang around, did some car races and stuff. Just kind of took my time, gave myself some time, and then it naturally bit me again. The bug naturally bit me again. So you know what? Then let's I feel good now. Let's get back in the action here. We went back to the drawing board. I said, let's get back to action. I feel great right now. Feel great.
All right, Dan Tom, our fight analyst. What do you have for Raphael Assuncao?
Hey, Raphael, I just wanted to ask you what your thoughts were on Sandhagen. I'm not going to lie. I think he's a really bright prospect. I like his style a lot. But I also think you might be a tough matchup because, he puts a lot of offense, but you have really good counters. What do you think?
Yeah. Man, it's I don't have too much to say. I mean, we've been doing our homework, obviously. We all watch each other's and all that studying and stuff. I don't really feel crazy into that stuff, which, at the end of the day, it's a fight. But I think it's a good matchup, a stylistic matchup. I think it matches kind of well. He got good movement. A tough guy. He beat Lineker, and which props to him. I just feel it's a pretty nice matchup, man. But that way, a guy like that, I can use. I can showcase a lot of the stuff that I would like to showcase technique-wise and movement-wise, and obviously, my characteristics, I think, plays well into that type of game. So I'm excited. It's a good fight. Dangerous guy like a lot of the top-ranked guys. But I feel pretty good. Right now. I think stylistically, it matches well. It's gonna be a good fight for sure.
People in SoCal, go out and grab your tickets for UFC 241. This is a really, really stacked card. Our guest here, Raphael Assuncao, has notable win. He's got one of the most impressive bantamweight records out there. He's 11-2 as a bantamweight in the UFC with wins over T.J. Dillashaw, Pedro Munoz, Brian Caraway. Should I stop? Hell no. Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Rob Font. So those 2 losses I mentioned, he was 11-2. He does have 2 losses, but he's 1-1 against those guys. If you stand back and look, that's an impressive divisional record that Raphael Assuncao has. So he's never far from title contention, and I expect a great fight versus Cory Sandhagen. So, Raphael, thank you so much for joining us back on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I hope you have a fun birthday with the family. And before we leave you,
I appreciate it.
Can you just give us, is there anything that we can spook Freddy with? Is there anything you can give us that we can surprise him with when we have him on the show? Because he's going to be on in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Freddy, man, I don't want to be too biased, right? He's my twin brother, so we're fraternal twins. And man, this guy has worked so hard, the injuries kind of depleted him from his career. I mean, he's had some really tough fights. I mean, he prevailed in all of his fights. The only loss he has is one, and that was his first fight, and it was a 10-fight win streak. But he's a pretty quiet guy like me, man. We are, we're just respectful guys, and he's a kind of quiet guy. But yeah, just tease him, man. I'm sure he enjoyed the show like I've always have, man. When Danny told me that I'll be an MMA junkie on my birthday, I said, you know what? For other, I would have just cancel or whatever, not do it, But with you guys, I'm just glad. Hey man, and one more thing, but this is like just a shot of confidence, and you guys, some of you guys know me, the hardcore fans or whatnot. I'm looking into making into the bantamweight history right now. If I win my next fight, it's I'm gonna have the longest bantamweight streak in history of in the history of the bantamweight. Because TJ doesn't count, right? The guy's out, and he cheated. So me winning this fight, I'll be the
winningest bantamweight ever.
Top runner.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on
top
that.
runner of the end. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, Hoffa, thanks for the time, my man. Enjoy your evening, and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, buddy. Thanks,
all right,
guys.
Take care. We'll see you. There you have it. One half of the dynamic Assuncao brothers. The other twin will be joining us here in about 60 seconds. And it's going to be a quick break here. It's the top of the hour break. And big shout to Danny Rube for lining that up. Both brothers, actually. I didn't even know. I actually went through PFL for Freddy. And they circled back and told me, oh, yeah, Danny's got it lined up. I'm like, oh, shit. I guess I could have just went straight to Danny. But anyway. All right, here we go. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Fight Nation, Channel 156. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Their mantles are covered with participation awards. They have boxes of gold stars that they purchase themselves. They are the legends and demand your respect. Here are George and Goes.
All right, as promised, we're right back with you here on a Friday night. Just hung up the phone with Raphael Assuncao. We're expecting Freddy Assuncao to call in just a bit. Dan, Tom, I guess until that happens, why don't we concentrate on the work that you have done this past week, which is pretty much breaking down these upcoming fights in San Antonio. Now, I know that your main event, a lot of the stuff's already on the site, so we'll kind of skip over that. People can go give it a good read, check out your videos. But give me something, or I'll let you lead the charge. What's one fight that you want to share with us that people might be able to sprinkle a little bit of chatter
One
on?
fight without it in front of me.
Look at this?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I just wanted to say I think it's going to be Dog City. It's going to be Underdog City, and perhaps
Throughout the whole card.
Yeah,
okay.
A lot of dogs I like actually. Maybe if there's time, I'll list them off. I know we got
Freddy's ready to go. Okay,
right now, so
let's do Freddy, and then we'll come back to you. And in the meantime, folks, don't forget Dan has a podcast called the Protect Your Neck Podcast on iTunes. Give it a subscribe because he really goes in depth over there. All right, so now joining us on the hotline is Freddy Assuncao. Freddy Assuncao is going to be fighting next Thursday at PFL 2019, Week 5. His opponent is going to be Alex Gilpin, and you can watch the fights on ESPN Plus, followed by ESPN2. That all starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Start Time, and then they move over at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Start Time to ESPN2. Joining us now on the hotline is Freddy Assuncao. Hello, Freddy. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you?
All right, great, man. Thank you for joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. I'm George, and I'm here with Goes and Dan, and we just hung up the phone with your twin brother. So happy birthday, first of all, and thanks for spending some time with us on your birthday.
Thanks. I literally just got off the movie theater with my wife. We were watching Lion King. I was looking forward to watching that movie. It brings back memories.
What'd you watch?
Lion King.
Lion King.
Oh, how was it?
Lion King. Great movie, man. Really incredible. Yeah.
Freddie, keep it real.
You know how they did.
Keep it real. Did you cry?
Nah.
I think I cried.
I'm not very emotional. Like I'm not your typical Brazilian emotional fighter.
What's the last movie that did make you cry?
Shit, I don't think I ever cried in a movie, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
never.
All right.
What about in the movie theater? Have you ever had one of those incidents where you have to go, "Hey, keep it down. Shut up over there." Do you ever have any of those?
Yeah, I had some of those before. Yeah.
In America or in Brazil?
No, here. Actually, we moved to the U.S. when we were 11 and 12 years old. So I mean, we, going to movie theaters and stuff like that growing up.
Right.
It was all in the U.S. Yeah.
All right. What kind of movies do you like, by the way?
Man, I like war movies. Anything that has to do with, military movies, stuff like that. I really enjoy those movies. Action movies, comedies. That's really it for me. Me and my wife, we watch a ton of movies every day. We don't really watch a lot of TV. Mostly just movies and shows like, Netflix shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've been doing some Netflix and chilling. I can tell you have twins coming up, right? Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're super excited. I have an 18-year-old daughter from a previous relationship when I was 17 years old, and the mom was 15 years old, I believe. And now, I mean, it's a little different now as a kid. Back then, now, it was a plan. We planned it, been married for a couple of years now. Been together for about 8 years. So now we got the girls coming, 2 girls. And we're super excited about our arrival.
When is she due?
She's actually due in October.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think she's going to make it that long.
Because of the twins,
Yeah, she's already big, man. She's so big. So, and she's a little tiny person. She's only like 5'1", and so she's tiny, and her belly is humongous right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she'll make it to 40 weeks. We're thinking 34, 32 weeks.
Well, listen, I don't believe that she'll go into labor during this go-round, but it could be possible that you're a daddy while you're fighting, in the playoffs of PFL. So this is going to be an exciting year for you guys. It'll be a big balancing act. But first things first, you got to get past Alex Gilpin so that you can accumulate the points to get into the playoff.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's the plan, I've had, as you guys know, I've had some injuries. I was supposed to be in the tournament last year, and I hurt my knee. Then, May, I was supposed to be in it too, and I hurt my hand. The way I train, I push a little over the limit, I think, sometimes. So I've made adjustments to my camp. But I mean, I've been in training camp since April, really. I've just had. I really literally took 1 week off when I broke my hand and put a cast on, and I was back to working out and training and running and biking and doing all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just had to modify my training, a little bit, so I wouldn't get. I'm not 25 years old anymore, so I have to, I had to make some adjustments.
Freddy Assuncao is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He fights Alex Gilpin next Thursday at PFL 2019 Week 5. You can catch his fight on ESPN Plus at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Then, of course, the main card's available on ESPN2, 9 p.m. Eastern. Main event that night is Ahmed Aliyah versus Chris Wade. These are lightweights and featherweights here, so lots of big names fighting on this fight card, including Lance Palmer, Rashid Magomedov, Daniel Pineda, lots of familiar names. Ramsey Nijem is back. Nathan Schulte's back. Andre Harrison. I'm telling you, there's a lot of talent. All right, let me turn it over to the guys here. Let's start off with Dan Tom, our fight analyst. Dan, what do you have for Freddy Assuncao?
Hey, Freddy. Raphael, he referenced you not just in the last interview, but plenty of times before, as far as nutrition and diet and saying you're responsible for his food. I'm just curious, do you have experience with that, or is it just your experience as a fighter, or do you have a passion with food or prep, or can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. I did. I think it's mostly from experience. So between myself and Raphael and then Junior, I've always kind of just took the role, because they seem to forget every fight, and I've just really took the role, and it's not that hard, people make this whole, for me, it's quite pretty simple. It's, you have to break a sweat, you have to hit a certain numbers on fight week, don't eat certain things, stay away from, a smaller portion. So I don't really have a passion for it. The only thing is mainly like a job, because obviously we care about each other. So I want to make sure that Raphael makes weight. He cuts a good amount of weight. Junior, when he used to fight, to make the weight too. So I got it pretty down to what exactly needs to be done. Like, I never had problems doing my weight cut, and always, help my brothers. And then I have up and coming fighters that are, my prodigies. I help them as well. So it's just natural to me nowadays.
Right on. And last question for me. One of the more interesting things I found about you and your brother is you guys kind of love for automotives and car racing. I'm pretty ignorant on myself. I like a little bit more off-road stuff. I see you did a little bit of that in Utah. But tell me, who was it? Was it you, your brother? Did you guys get into it at the same time? Where does this influence come from?
Yeah, man, we really always were into cars. Growing up, I mean, like a kid, how a kid loves cars and have toys and stuff. And we tried one day doing a sport driving school a few years back, and it was a ton of fun. And we just started doing it, and we got hooked. Me and and Raphael. Junior's not much of a car guy. I mean, he likes cars and all, but Raphael and I were a little more hardcore. So once we got into the racing, the road coursing and doing all the racing, man, it's an addiction, man. It's crazy.
I bet.
All right.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Goes, what do you have for Freddy Assuncao?
Freddie, so Raphael was telling us, and I don't know if you know this, but George and I were actually brothers, except he's 9 years older than I am. But
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but see, him and I are completely different. There's certain things though that you and Raphael like the same thing. You like racing and all that. But what about one thing that he brought up was studying tape on his opponent. He's not he'll do it, but he doesn't overdo it. How about you? When it comes to training with you and your brothers, are you guys always all on the same page with everything, or are there certain things that you like to do that maybe your brothers don't like to do?
You mean as training goes? Yeah, there's a few things that we don't really, we kind of do a little bit different. Like Raphael likes to train really late at night. I like to train early in the morning. So we always had the issue that, he gets to train super late in the middle of the day, and I've been at the gym for hours, warm and ready to go, and then I have to, because I own a gym here in Atlanta, and so I have to teach afterwards and all that. So there's things like that we don't really agree on. As far as watching tapes and films, I'm not that big into, I'll let whoever is like coaching me for the actual fight, I'll let that person, look them up, and they'll look at a few details on the opponent's habits and all that, and we just work towards that. But I do the same as far as like looking films and stuff like that. I don't really do that a whole lot. I mean, because you do want to prepare for the opponent, a little bit of their habits, but I don't. If you get too obsessed about it, you don't focus on what you need to be doing. So, and when you get in there, it's different. Styles makes fight. You really have to get in there and see how it goes and make adjustment as the fight progresses.
Right on. All right. Well, Freddy, appreciate you giving us some time here on your birthday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. And good luck. Next Thursday, we'll be watching against Alex Gilpin. This is a really, really deep card, a really, really stacked card. But it's been fun talking to the Assuncao brothers back-to-back. Like I said, we just hung up the phone with Raphael Assuncao. So hopefully we can talk to you throughout this whole campaign here. Go out there and do your thing, my man.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show, and always a pleasure. And I want to thank, all my sponsors and my training partners for all the help, and my family.
There you go. That's
and
what's
MMA
up.
Junkie.
All right. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Now, folks, on Twitter, you can follow him at Freddy_Assuncao. His brother, Raphael, you can follow him on Twitter at Rafa Assuncao. Also, the best of Major League Soccer is on Sirius XM FC. Don't miss the most anticipated match of the season as the LAFC hosts the LA Galaxy in El Tráfico. Coverage kicks off tonight at 10 Eastern on Sirius XM FC 157. All right, when we come back, we'll talk to Dan Tom, and we'll dive into this UFC on ESPN 4 card. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
We are the nation.
Their fighting style is described as fluffy, but their radio style is on point. Here are George Goes and Dan.
All right, we're back. We only have one more break, too. We kind of got the read out of the way, a couple breaks out of the way, and our interviews are done. Again, shout out to Danny Rube for lining up the Assuncao brothers, a couple twin brothers fighting in the UFC and PFL.
Hey.
Yeah.
Can I hijack for a second? Just 1 second?
Sure.
As a team, we'll include Kelly. What are your thoughts when Gerry Cooney, Jimmy Smith, and our good friend Josh walk in? Should we get them fucked up? Or should we just be
Jerry
nice
doesn't
guys?
drink.
He doesn't?
No.
All right. We're down to Jimmy and Josh, who do drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want
Jimmy
to load up
drinking
some
in
gozies
Vegas.
for him?
I don't trust it, but I would do it.
Because Jimmy can get crazy. Jimmy can snap his fingers like that. We'll end up at the Rhino or something. Or riding rhinos. Who knows? So what do you guys pick?
Of course I'm game for that.
Dan?
Yeah, definitely.
All right,
Yes,
so should we
yes,
have,
yes.
drinks waiting for
What do you
them?
think I was going to say? No, instead, let's do a rosary on air. Hell yeah, that sounds like fun.
All right.
So maybe send the text to
All right,
Natalie
I'll be
before
back.
she leaves. All
I'll
right.
text her.
Are you going to join her?
Natalie?
Or join them in the gozy?
No, I'm going to read a rosary.
Hey, right back at you.
Yeah, take that.
All right, Dan Tom. Here we go. Ready?
Grab one for Dan Tom, too. Utah, get me 2. Sorry.
Walt Harris and Alexei Olenek.
This one's a dog or pass, man. This is my 2 biggest avoids. I was going to tell you. Harris, if you're looking to play that chalk, maybe not even avoid because there's angles on both. I just don't feel confident in my Harris pick. I think Olenek's alive. And then Trinaldo and Hernandez. I think that's the trap chalk, man. Everybody on Junkie staff picks on Hernandez. I ended up picking him, but was I up to the wee hours of Tuesday morning before submitting that final pick in?
So you're saying Trinaldo and Olenek have great opportunities to win,
live dogs.
but at the same time, just sit back and enjoy the fights because they're that close. In other words, right?
But the other dogs that I like, it's crazy. The line's actually flipped. Maybe your boy here has some more influence than he thinks, or maybe all the sharps are on the same side, and I'm just not alone here, guys. But Raphael Assuncao and Steven Peterson, and I got upset because usually there's about like a 20 to 30 cents differential in the no fun way. Unfortunately, at the sports at some of the sports books, whereas online they're still listed as dogs. Well, no. Actually, the line's flipped, so that's why it's actually listed even here at the Mandalay Bay. You're actually getting a better line here at Mandalay Bay than you are online.
You like RDA?
Yeah, now RDA is maybe not.
He's even.
Oh, he's even. Okay, never mind. No, he's still dog on some sites too. But yeah, he got bet up to even here.
Okay.
At the sports book, and another one that kind of surprised me. No, he's still getting listed as a dog, but it's been going back and forth. A lot of money, though. I think I'm not alone here. I like Steven Peterson over Alex Caceres.
Okay.
On the prelims.
What about Greg Hardy and Juan Adams? They won't be playing patty cakes.
Big stay away, man. You're not even getting either at a plus money now. Although, if you were a Hardy supporter, I actually don't blame you because whether you like Greg Hardy or not, folks, he was the deserved favorite in this line. So to get him at plus money was pretty good value if you were able to get that. But it's a stay away. Everybody, it's too emotional. Everybody who hates Hardy is going to bet opposite him. And everybody who loves Hardy is going to bet him just because, bet him blindly just because he's an athlete, even though he's not proven. So, I mean, I don't like either side of that fight, guys. Especially you're not getting plus number on either side. Forget it.
James Vick versus Dan Hooker.
Another really close fight to call. I feel pretty decent, though, about Hooker. Maybe if you're doing some degenerate plays, looking for someone to string together. I know you guys are on Vic and have a tight relationship with him. I definitely got he's spec for Vic and Vic's picks, but we saw a similar matchup like this with Paul Felder just kind of play out, and I just think that at the end of the day, Vic's hurting himself at lightweight. It's not even a matter, people criticize his chin or this or that. It's not even a matter of his chin. It's just his durability overall. We saw it with the leg kicks and the calf kicks, and Hooker's probably going to do those, abuse his legs, and look to try to muddy it up on the inside.
Andre Arlovsky and Ben Rothwell.
Kind of another stay away, and I'm on the favorite here, which is crazy. The favorite is the guy who lost the last match, but that was like 11 years ago. Remember switching back and forth channels, having to go back and forth between Silva Irvin and Affliction Band back in the day. But no, I like Ben Rothwell. He probably gets it done inside the distance, but I'm not even touching any chalk here, guys. I don't even know if I'll put it in. Maybe I'll put it in my for fun parlay because it's on the main card. That's about it.
Irene Aldana versus Raquel Pennington.
I was Raquel Pennington. A lot of money's coming in on her. She's a popular dog, and for that reason, I wanted to fade it because I felt really good about Irene Aldana. But Raquel Pennington, my criticism on her is she just looks like she's been checked out, and I don't know if that's a mental thing or hopefully not a physical thing, because if you look at not just the losses but just kind of the attitude in fights, and it's been since that bad accident she had before the title fight. She had that kind of late renaissance, that nice little late run, capping it off with a Miesha Tate victory. But you really look at it, since that Miesha Tate victory in 2016, she hasn't won and whatnot. But what kind of scared me away is I looked on the old Instagram, and Pennington, she's never had the greatest physique, win or lose, good performance or bad, but she is straight up in the by far best condition I have ever seen her coming into this one. Pennington.
Okay.
So I mean, she's taking it serious to me. So I'm actually gonna stay away from that one. But I'm still keeping my pick though. I still like Aldana.
All right, and these guys are gonna be joining us soon. Jumbo Josh, Gerry Cooney, and Jimmy Smith. So is there anything else you want to say? We can point everybody else to the Protect Your Neck podcast to get in-depth analysis. But is there anything else you want to share here?
Check out the Protect Your Neck podcast. I will say Gabriel Silva is a live dog against Ray Borg. We all love Ray Borg. We all want him to get back on track, but this is at bantamweight. And Gabriel Silva, Eric Silva's brother, kind of like the Sergio and Anthony Pettis dynamic. A lot less flashier, which is a good thing. He's more fundamental. This kid's got real good boxing, real strong for a bantamweight, and a legit Team Nogueira Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I think it's a tough fight for Ray Borg. I think he could lose it or win it. Either way, it's going to look a lot like his fight with La Pulga. You like that pull? You like that pull, Remember La Pulga?
All right, I'll put down a little star there. So, guys, should we take a quick break and then bring the guys in?
Yeah.
Get them all lined up here. All right. You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. We got some studs that are walking into the studio here. Gerry Cooney.
And Cooney's here too.
Exactly.
And Josh.
I didn't see it. There he is. There's
and
Cooney
Jimmy
too.
Smith's here too.
So they'll be hanging out with us here when we come back. Stay close. Don't touch that dial.
The cars.
Boogie nights now.
Put excellence and excitement in your Vitamix. Add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're back. So we head down the home stretch here on the Friday show, and of course, this is our last show for the week. We shook up the dais here a little bit. Let me introduce the guys from, just for tonight, At the Fights, because Gerry Cooney's always with At the Fights. Jimmy Smith flew in for to do a co-host stint with At the Fights, but of course you know him from MMA Tonight and his run at Bellator and UFC as their color commentator. Also, Fox Sports Dad. He's done it all.
I mean, it's just
So
like
welcome, guys.
The show is only so long, so the list, just the highlights. Highlights are good.
Yeah.
You know, I had to meet this guy all day today. Can you believe this guy?
No.
You're a handful too, big man.
You can't walk through the lobby of this hotel. I'm not even joking. Without somebody taking a picture or him posing with somebody or somebody want to talk to Gerry Cooney, it just adds a good 20 minutes onto any walk, man, in Vegas.
Yeah,
especially
that's
fight weekend.
I knew you guys ended at 5. I'm like, they're not gonna make you here by 5:30 or 6. We'll just book them for 6:30.
Come on, bro.
It'll take them a
anytime
while.
you want, we're here for you, bro.
Professional.
This chair better not fall down. Let me tell you something right now. This chair's a little weak. You've had some big guys in here, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
And you got a tall, big dude here, so.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think it's gonna fall. Hey, you met the bagel guy?
I met the bagel guy.
Yeah.
That was some story, wasn't it?
I thought you were gonna pick him up like the Undertaker.
Yeah,
man.
he must
Choke
come up to
slam him
your
or
nuts.
No, but the guy that did on the show slammed him down to the ground by the neck, by the throat.
Did you have to separate him and Randy?
Randy was going to take him. He said he was going to take him. I know he was going to take him to the movies and that, but he was,
And then Jimmy, we were just talking about it right now. You moved to Florida a few months ago.
Yes, I did.
Long time SoCaler. What made that
my
move
entire
happen?
life? Financial considerations moved things out to Florida, and I'm there for like a year and a half, and then I should be moving back. It's cool. It's just summers are hot as balls, and I've only lived in Central and Southern California my entire life. I've never lived in a state other than California, so I'm not used to seasons and rain.
No, he's a little sheltered and stuff. It's hard to get out. It's hard to get to Florida because it's a little scary there.
You know what? When Jersey Boy, when he has an opinion about something, you know it. You know exactly what. You never wonder, what does Gerry Cooney think about something? Because he's always going to tell you, man.
Well, here's a cool story regarding Jimmy Smith. I guess you can fill in the blanks here, but I just remember you were going to maybe possibly move to Singapore and work with One Championship, but you came across something with your pet, your dog.
Pit bulls are illegal in Singapore. Yeah. They're also illegal in Australia, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and where else did I look? It's almost impossible to get a pit bull anywhere into Southeast Asia because they're illegal. So I got an offer, and I didn't speak directly to ONE FC about any of this stuff. My manager was telling me, he goes, they think you're great, they want you out there, you have to move. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's a big deal, moving to Singapore from anywhere. It's a big change. Not asking me to move across country. So I was going through the whole process and everything, and I came across this. They have breed-specific legislation. You can't import or own a pit bull. And I have 2 pit bulls. And so the only 2 people I really trust to watch my dogs, and they couldn't do it, and I had to go, I can't move. I can't just leave my dogs. It's not going to happen. Right. So I'm not that kind of person. So
as a dog lover that hit my
I just can't, I'm not going to,
But, and the pit bulls are much more tame and docile and
dogs,
loving.
Man.
Yeah. And loving. There was a time when they'd be eating, gunpowder and stuff like that, the fighting dogs. Mm-hmm. Now they're like beautiful dogs.
Awesome. I love my dogs, man. I love them. I wouldn't leave them for
Just call them the nanny breed. I mean,
they're awesome.
And that's what killed me. My worst summer, by the way, humidity is a tricky thing. My worst summer was when I lived in New York, and thankfully it was only for about a year or so. But I had to move away from my dog at that time, and thankfully my half pit, half boxer won my mother over, who hates big dogs, and realized how much of a sweetheart it actually, how much character it is. But I especially sympathize with that because my dog, it looks more like a pit, beautiful mix of a boxer and pit. But unfortunately, even with more lax laws, and I could try to get him in as a boxer, even without the country laws you're talking about, Jimmy, there's still a big prejudice and stereotype that owners and dogs have to face on a daily, even in this beautiful country.
I've had people cross the street to get away from me.
Let's face it. If you have 2 pit bulls in your house and a stranger comes in, it doesn't look too good for them.
Yeah, it's great.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
I mean, come on. Even as docile as they are, bro, forget about it.
He is strong. My dog's strong as shit. And, it's like, but he's a total sweetheart.
It's just in how any breed can be nasty.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's all in the owner. So yeah, I know that a lot of people, that stigma follows the pit bull so much, and it's disappointing because pit bulls can be the biggest sweethearts out there.
Hey, this guy will tell you the Jack Russell Terrier is more hardwired for
The
violence.
worst!
This guy knows that he's over here.
I had a Chihuahua bite me in the eye when I was a kid.
Really?
Like right here, like got a chunk, like boom, bit me here, and it's always the little dogs and like they always, man. My mom has a terrier and. Oh, he like bit a little kid. I'm like, Mom, why do you bring that thing around children? It's awful. My dog, I think part of it is pit bulls are so strong that everybody goes, oh, boy, your dogs are really well trained. I go, yeah, because they're strong. And I can't have this thing jumping over the fence or like doing something it's not supposed to do. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
They still got that look in their eye, bro. They can look at with that side of the side of your face. Forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a beast of an animal to have on you, bro. You know what I mean?
It's amazing how strong they are, but it's amazing how. And then, like, most people were positive about it. Like, most people were like, yeah, man, that's great that you did that.
Right.
And other people were like, are you out of your mind? like, that's, that was the end of your career. And I'm like, well, okay. I'm not leaving my dog, so don't know what to tell you. Certain things are just deal breakers, and that's one of them to me, man. You know?
His wife, he'd have gone over there. You know, he'd have gone for the wife, but not the dog.
Yeah, no, I'm not leaving my dog. So I can get along without me.
I know you guys' eyes are probably bleeding after so much Pacquiao Thurman talk, so we'll end with that. But I do want to get to this because this is a gaming town. Is this fight going to go the distance, or can it be settled in less than 11 rounds?
I think that it's going to wind up going a distance. I mean, both these guys, Thurman's been out for a couple of years. Pacquiao got dropped got knocked out cold by Marquez. So they're a little leery. They both respect each other. Listen, Manny Pacquiao won 8 different titles in 8 different divisions. He's a beast. He's a hero, really. Right. And Thurman is going to respect that. He's going to respect Pacquiao's power. He's been hurt, so is Pacquiao. But listen, I think it's going to go the distance. I think it's going to be a good fight. This is a great fight. I'm glad to be here because we're going to see an interesting, challenging breakdown of these two guys. Pacquiao's going to attack, and Thurman's going to box and then attack too.
Right. Thurman was a finishing machine, but then as it just happens, I guess, as you just keep going up in weight, the decisions, you start becoming more of a tactical fighter because early on, I remember he used to have a lot of KOs to the resume to match his wins, but lately I think it's been more decisions. Still undefeated, still a great boxer.
When you move up the ladder, there's like A-rate fighters. They know how to get away from the knockouts. Listen, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. I mean, those guys are good A-rate fighters, and those 3 of them, Thurman, those guys. I don't know about Guerrero. Guerrero's the old days.
Tough, though.
The old days.
Very tough guy, yeah.
I mean, those guys are that close in talent.
But it's plus 300, so I'm so tempted, and a little bit it has to do with Manny and his age, and just watching him on Fight Week, he just seems so casual. Maybe that's just his approach to the fight, whereas Thurman's more like laser focused.
Here's your logic, where I agree with you with plus 300. Fighters like Manny, usually it's a cliff. One fight is like he's just not the same dude. Yeah. That could happen. We could see that tomorrow, where despite all the training and everything we've seen, 40 is still 40. You can get old once. And also a guy who relies on his speed, his explosiveness, his ability to really move. When it goes, it goes. And so it could be that night. You never know. But power has been less of a factor for both of these guys over the last 5-6 years, easy. In that, Keith, one-time Thurman, he was a hard hitter. The last few, he's just not getting guys out of there. Pacquiao, before Matisse, that was his first knockout in 7 or 8 years. Right. Long time between knockouts. And I think it speaks exactly what Cooney's talking about. In one of the most infuriating things I always hear with the bad judging in MMA, well, don't let it go to the judges. I'm like, you know how hard it is to finish these guys at the elite level, at the championship level? Just knock them out then. God, why didn't I think of that? No, it's hard to finish guys at the elite level. And we see that in MMA all the time. Your first 12, it's 11 finishes. You get to the UFC, you get to the elite level, and it starts changing because they're good. They're really good. And both Pacquiao and Thurman have been at the top level long enough that, you're going to see that dip in KO power.
Listen, and also Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao want to go out on the winning side. They're both very proud. Freddie Roach looks great. He's been breaking his ass training. I never saw him look so good.
He looks
speak
fantastic.
So good.
Yeah.
And he said that Pacquiao's got the goods. Well, obviously, what else can he say? He's not going to say anything else. But listen, I think that we're going to see a magical fight.
Yeah, and he's a straight shooter. I've also heard him when he said, "I wish Pacquiao would have arrived in LA in better shape." So you're right. He's never gonna pick the other side, but I think he's always been pretty upfront.
You look for the clues. as an interview, as a commentator, as guys who have been in the business a long time, you look for those clues where they always say the right thing, but we're going, he doesn't have full confidence in his guy.
You see the expression
you
on their
see
face.
the little things that make you go, he knows something.
And that's the crazy thing about this fight is that both these guys have not shown that.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
And I mean, today I felt a little more stress in both of them at the weigh-in because now it's it's here.
It's crunch time.
No more days. But leading up to this fight, they both are very confident. They both know what they're going to do. And I spoke to Freddie Roach. If I'm fighting Manny Pacquiao, I'm going to watch the Marquez fight for an hour, and I'm going to find out where Pacquiao is in that moment and land that shot. And Freddie said, listen, we've worked on all that. We've changed it. He's not that guy anymore. He's not going to be there anymore. That hurt too much. You know what I mean? That shot hurt too much. I never saw a guy get sauced like that. I didn't think Pacquiao was going to make it back after that fight.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Career changes.
And at that time, I'm going to say, I don't know this for certain, but at that time, Marquez was supposed to be messing around with some other kind of stuff to give him more strength. We don't know about that either. But
are you saying you got a new doctor before the fight?
whatever, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know that for sure.
Right.
But that was a crazy punch that he got caught with. And if he doesn't catch Pacquiao with that shot, next round the fight's over. He has his nose broken.
Yeah.
He was getting his butt cleaned.
Yeah.
Guys, as far as Pacquiao and Thurman's concerned, the 10 years, how much of a difference do you think it'll be? You guys follow the sport a lot closer, so is Pacquiao I mean, I know he's got some wear and tear, but does he lead a pretty decent, clean lifestyle, or has he been a partier ever? And then on Thurman's side, a little bit of the ring rust, I guess, from not fighting as often the last few years. And what's he like?
Listen,
it's 30 and 40,
Jimmy,
right?
Good, Jimmy.
The way I would start off that Pacquiao's difficulty has been his schedule. It's been, I'm a senator. Everyone we're talking about who knows him in the Philippines is the guy's an icon out there. It's very hard for him to find the time to do what he needs to do and get the rest he needs and get the recovery he needs and get everything he needs. And Freddie Roach talked specifically about recovery in this. So I don't think he's a hard-living guy. He's not a party guy. And trust me, Jaron, I would have. You hear about these kind of things when you're in the business. He's never been known as a party guy. He's been known as a guy who wants to please everybody and doesn't manage his time as well as he should have. I think he's done well this time. What do you think about Thurman?
I want to tell you this, that Manny Pacquiao has been very busy with a lot of things. That's not good for fighters. You got to stay focused. You got to be focused. When you get too busy, you become too famous, too successful. That kind of knocks you down a little bit.
Physically and mentally?
It can. Because you're too busy. You're too busy with too many things on your mind. I'm not saying that's the case. Thurman he was stale. He obviously, here's a story. I think about Thurman. I would rather see Thurman fight Errol Spence than I would rather see Pacquiao fight Errol Spence. I think it's a better fight with Thurman for some reason, maybe because they're younger. Because, let me tell you, Errol Spence is a beast. Mm-hmm. He's
Monster.
a complete fighter.
Is he lined up to fight Crawford, by the way? What's going to happen there?
No, he's fighting Sean Porter.
Okay.
And the winner's supposed to fight the winner of this fight.
Oh, yeah? Where's Crawford in all this?
Crawford's with somebody else.
Top rank.
Oh, is that whole game?
Yeah, it's that whole game right
now. Isn't there enough money where they can go, all right, we don't like each other, but this is how we're going to figure it out, or does it come down to the television?
I think there will be, once this dust all settles, and it's Crawford and the winner of this mini tournament we have going on, which is, the mini tournament is, right now, it's Errol Spence Jr. versus Showtime Sean Porter, and then we have Pacquiao Thurman. Those two fight each other. The winner fights Bud Crawford. That's it, and that will be a huge fight.
Right.
There's got to be enough money to bring together.
That should be a stadium fight.
Listen, there was a big education that we got in the fight game when Anthony Joshua, who was supposed to knock out Ruiz, the heavy offset Ruiz, who was a tough guy, we saw him be undefeated. Only Parker, he lost to Parker in a close fight, was that Joshua and Wilder and Fury were supposed to be the three guys.
Yeah.
Ruiz ruined that whole picture. That $100 million.
That's the wake-up call,
like
right?
that. And I think that's making these guys come around now and realize, listen, we got to make these fights when they're on the pin. If not, we're going to lose that big payday, and they don't want to afford to do that anymore.
All right, I want to welcome Goes to the dais. Goes.
Oh, Goes.
Thank you, George. Jerry, I've been dying to ask you. All right, you're here. It's the fight capital of the world.
Let me sit next. Can I sit next to him? I'm teasing.
It is an aura, George. I'm teasing. We're in the fight capital of the world, but every time we say that, there's a little piece of us that realizes that a lot of fights, even in mixed martial arts, are kind of going to the East Coast a little bit. You guys got some things going on over there at Madison Square Garden. Barclays.
I think Thurman's is 3 in a row at Barclays.
Will we ever lose that edge, that mystique of fighting in Vegas?
I don't think so. You know why? Because there's such a big expense here. They pay for the hotel. They pay for the food. There's so many expenses that are, that include in fighting. And you can't put people up at the Waldorf in New York City for 3 months to train. They're not in a healthy place to train. There's a lot of distractions. So I don't think it's ever going to really hurt. I mean, listen, we're getting a nice buzz at the Barclays Center. I love it. I'm an hour away from there. The Garden is my home. That's showing a lot more fights. This is Vegas, man. No, you know what happens in Vegas. No one talks what happens. No one says, what's that saying?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Listen, this is the capital of the world for boxing here and MMA. New York is getting a gift now and then. I'm happy for that. I'm happy for boxing. Listen, it's all around the world. It's across the pond. The zone is coming here now. It's all over. Boxing is really transformed into a world.
Yeah, but this is where ears get bit off. This is where the fan man dives in. This is where there's shootings. All right,
but there's a new generation that has no idea what you're talking about.
That's true.
So crazy.
Where are we now? Where are we broadcasting from?
Mandalay Bay.
A what? A sports book.
Yeah.
Here I can, as a fan, right? I'm walking around right now. And people are going, man, what should I do with Pacquiao Thurman? Look at, can't do that in New York.
But now there's gambling over there, right? That's what I'm saying. Like little by little, are we going to lose that edge?
No, because you're always going to have it. The immediacy of right here, meaning I'm going to the fight, I can go right by the book and lay book. I know in California, we have. You can go to any casino or something like the immediacy of I just won $300. Right. Hey man, I'm gonna put that on Pacquiao by knockout. Screw it, man. The immediacy of
everyone's
cash
a rock
money.
star here.
Everybody's a rock star.
You can go get a huge steak somewhere, and you have a hotel suite.
Vegas will always have the immediacy, and so a lot of money flows through here. Man.
Listen, I fought Holmes here in '82. There's nothing like Vegas. I mean, it was a phenomenal. It was 115 degrees at night, but Vegas is just the magical place. With Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, same. You guys are too young to even know those guys.
I know.
I used to see those guys walking around the ring all the time. What a great time. Bob Hope, Frank Sinatra used to come to my training camp. I mean, those are the days. This is Vegas.
No shit.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
He would just kind of observe and Frank Sinatra.
Come and hang out.
Wow,
Bet on me.
that's
Bet on me, that poor guy. When I lost to Holmes. Listen, I forgot to tell you guys. Gerry Cooney has a book out called Gentleman Gerry, A Contender in the Ring, a Champion in Recovery. It's just out for 3 weeks. Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, in your local bookstores. It's a great read about the struggles and the rise and the success in life.
Awesome.
The greatest life in the world.
Scooping that one up for sure.
Come on, let's get to work, guys. Just get the book.
Yeah. All right. So, go ahead, Goes.
I was just gonna ask. So, in our sport, there's guys like a Fedor Emelianenko that some people will argue he needs to end his career. Others people say he has.
Who does?
Fedor
Emelianenko. A guy like Keith Thurman, that younger generation, a guy like Manny Pacquiao. Some of these guys that have fought Fedor Emelianenko, either way, have said, when I stood in front of him, I thought, holy shit, that's Fedor. There was a little piece of them that was rattled at the beginning, and they got over it once the fight started.
Right.
A guy like Keith Thurman standing in front of a guy like Manny Pacquiao, who owned Vegas for a while, what do you think will go through his mind at the end?
Listen, he's a world champion. He's a two-time world champion, a great champion. He's done everything asked of him. He's undefeated. Obviously, you're fighting Manny Pacquiao. It's hard to get a win against Manny Pacquiao. And he's a legend. He's a living legend. That's true. But it gives him more of an edge to want to take that from him, want to find a way, how to listen to my corner to give me the changes so I can adapt better to Manny Pacquiao and land that powerful shot that will knock him out. And listen, Manny Pacquiao is here because he's such a great guy, a great ambassador, a great fighter. He's done so many things from himself, and he's going to find a way to get in and land those shots. He's going to find a way to get to Thurman. Thurman's going to fire back. Who's going to land first? That's the story.
Quick question for both of you. How long does it usually take to feel the other guy's power? And what's that feeling like when they have given you a good shot and you know, okay, I can take pretty much their best?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Start with you, Jimmy.
Bro.
For me personally,
yeah.
You taste it. It's funny. There are, whether it's grappling or Muay Thai or boxing, I have felt.
And by the way, talk about the in training too. I mean,
yeah, no. Yeah, 100%. You can tell when they put their hands on you. I'm not even joking. Even when Sugar Ray Leonard said about Roberto Duran, he goes, he hurt me everywhere he hit me. He hit me in the gloves, and I was like, hands of stone. It felt like stone. I mean, I rolled with Jacare, and he grabbed me, and I went, holy shit. It was like he had muscles around his fingers. It was insane. And so, literally, the first touch, I can tell what somebody's got. Even if the punch misses, you can, and you go, whoa, that was quick. instantly. The first round, you know at least what you are dealing with.
Okay, I got another question from the question he asked you. So what happened when the guy grabbed you by the arm like that?
I went flying through the air, man. It was Jacare. This is a 4-time world champion.
No kidding.
Oh, my God. He goes, boom, and I was flying. I saw my feet go up over my head. I'm a blue belt. He's a black belt. And I went, okay, well, guess I'm going for a ride here. And boom, down I go. And we were just grappling. And he was fun. It was 2004, right when he was at his best. But you know, when you deal with old school guys, you know, like a Jean-Jacques Machado or any of those guys, man, they touch you, and you're like, oh, okay. I know a black belt from the moment
Who
they put their
punched
hands
you
on
when you felt it right away?
Me, I didn't do it yet, but he's going to feel it tonight.
No, Cooney's got some heavy hands. I used to spar with a guy named Mike Dallas, who was an excellent middleweight, 160, and he hit you, and you're like, man, this dude can turn. A kick, a guy named Malapet. I don't know if you ever saw him.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude,
That lion fight.
Malapet kicked me, and I was like,
He's so casual, so cool, calm.
dude, wham!
Weird.
And it was like I got hit by lightning. I was like, shh, and I was like, I cannot believe how hard this guy just kicked me. He's like a 140-pounder. So yeah, I've been in there with absolute monsters.
Well,
Jerry, from the boxing perspective,
as fighting, when the bell rings, I'm going to touch you. I'm going to let you feel my power. I'm going to hit you in the body. I'm going to hit you on the chin, hit you somewhere so you feel my power. Make you think twice about coming in. And then you kind of work out what your plan is from your training all this time, the films you watch and whatever you've done. And then from there you make adjustments. And then you go back to the corner after the first round, and your corner tells you things that you've probably seen when you're out there in that first round, and you start to adapt to it. You start to look for it. You start to try and make it happen. And everything works off the jab. You know, you land that jab, that's where you open the house up. And, you know, for me, it was kind of a lost art because in amateur boxing, you didn't score much for body shots. When I was fighting, I had to get to the body. It wasn't like maybe I'm going to get there. Like I see Tyson Fury fight Wilder, fight all these guys. Nobody gets to his body. He's 6'9". How can you not get to his body? I'm going to get to the body. He's going to drop his hands. I'm going to hit him on the top of the chin. That's what you got to do. It's not a maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it in the 7th round. You got to go. You got to fight. That's what you do. We lost that for a while. It's coming back with guys like Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao. Those guys are bringing that element of boxing back, and it's very exciting to know it's back again.
Who's the more likely to win this fight by knockout?
Wow. I think, you know, if this was 5 years ago, you remember Manny Pacquiao was knocking out De La Hoya, Cotto, all those guys, but there was something else going on with him. Right. I think that if someone's going to knock somebody, I was watching Keith Thurman throw that solid right hand. You know, southpaws are open for that right hand. If he catches him, he could do a trick to him. But I just think he's too busy and too smart, and he's going to keep cutting the ring off on Thurman. Thurman's going to run the room, have to fight, and you have to fight. If you're forced to fight, you get tired quicker.
I think Pacquiao, his key is going to be volume. If you're talking about a one-shot power knockout, you looked at the weigh-in. Remember, we were at the weigh-in. Thurman's a big boy. It is not, man, they are not the same size at all. So I think if there's a one-shot knockout, if we're about somebody going down, one-time Thurman, they call him that for a reason, does have a lot of power, and Manny has been vulnerable to that counter punch before.
And we also talked about, you know, Manny Pacquiao was throwing 100 punches around or 90 punches around 5 years ago. Now he's throwing 50 punches, 60 punches around. So, I mean, he's still landing at a good rate, but he's, you know, old age is creeping up on him.
What is that round, the number, where you could say by this point we'll have a good idea where this fight's going?
First, second round. Listen, I'll watch a fight in the studio with Josh, and let me watch it for 15 seconds. I know what the fight's going to. I know what's going to happen in the fight. You can just see the styles and what's going on. 15, 30 seconds, I know what's going on. Manny Pacquiao, this is an important fight for both of them. It may take a little longer. They're going to be a little leery, maybe, and then they're going to get into that fight mode and. You got to do what you got to do.
I don't think either guy is going to square up and go, boy, this isn't what I expected. I mean, we know Manny Pacquiao. We've seen him enough times, and Thurman's seen him enough times. That the feeling out process, when you've had a decade of fights behind you, there's less of it. Yeah, you want to feel it the first time, but Thurman understands basically what he's walking into. Pacquiao basically understands what he's walking into. I know you, you know me, and I think Thurman is going to try to impose himself quickly. That's what Freddie Roach said. That's what Thurman said. I'm going to start fast.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea. No. But I think both guys are going to go, okay, they're going to collide pretty early. I don't think there's going to be a lot of feeling out and distance punching. I don't see that.
Manny Pacquiao has the ability to take his opponent's skills away from him.
Yes.
Like I watched Demetrius Andrade or Andre Ward, and what he did to Kovalov. He took all this big brute Kovalov and stripped him of all the skills till Kovalov was standing in the ring, couldn't do nothing.
B-Hop
he turned his back on him.
B-Hop would do that all the time.
That's what that's what Manny Pacquiao had the ability to do 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years ago. I don't know if he has the same ability, but he's going to be working on it tomorrow. You know, he's going to be working it out.
Here's a what-if question for you. What fighters right now, what boxers right now would benefit if they still went 15 rounds like back in the day?
I think that the people that would really benefit from 15 rounds are the sponsors. Listen, 15 rounds is great. They found out most guys were getting hurt between 12 and 15, so they cut it back to kind of protect the fighters a little bit more.
And what was the difference? Well, how many 15s did you do versus 12? Did you ever do any 12s?
No 12s. It was 10. I had mostly all knockouts, but at 15 rounds, it's a long night, especially at 115 degrees under the sun.
Yeah, just seeing them peel them off the stool at 11 or 12. You know, guys like De La Hoya, man, they really slow down.
Listen, it did feel good being out there. It felt good being out there, man. Mano a mano, when that waiting for that, I couldn't wait for the bell to ring. You know, I was fighting Holmes. I hated him because it was just racism. Everything was going on, right? So I want to hit him with a hook, right? So I'm so pissed. I get in the ring. He looks at me and says, "Hey, Gerry, let's have a good fight." I said, "What'd you say that for? What'd you say that for, man? I wanted to kick your ass."
Jimmy, we got 30 seconds. Compare boxing to MMA fight weeks. What's been the differences that?
One of the big differences is when I go to boxing fight weeks, there's so much history. You see people here, Hall of Famers from 30, 40 years ago. You see guys like Gerry Cooney, you know what I mean? And that history is really amazing to see. It's great. I love MMA fight weeks. I love boxing fight weeks. One thing about boxing fight weeks, it really does bring out the history. And it's great to see those guys who were fighting 30, 40 years ago still around.
And we're getting magical fights. There's great fights. Look at the light heavyweight division. Let's talk next time. The light heavyweight division is filled up with 10 great fighters.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Gerry
Come on,
Cooney,
I don't want to
Jimmy
go.
Smith.
I'm not ready.
That's it. We are out of here. Folks, don't forget, tomorrow on Sportscaster Goes and I will be doing the UFC on ESPN 4 card, and I'm sure we'll be watching the Pacquiao and Thurman pay-per-view. Go out there and be a champion.
Love you, baby.